Hi, my name is Butcher, and today I'm going to talk about scopes in color. I'm also going to show you how you can use scopes to color correct your footage. So if you look over in the Viewer in Final Cut Pro, I've imported some footage of a squirrel. If you look in the description of the video, you can download the same footage. This is what we're going to use for the tutorial. So the first step you want to do is choose File, Send to, Color. It's going to ask me to name it, so I'm just going to press OK. So now it's going to launch color. So if you look over here, you see the scopes. Now these are what scopes are. And it looks really confusing, but it's not nearly as confusing as it looks. So basically, 0 stands for the darkest blacks and 100 stands for the brightest whites. So if I go over to the Overlay tab, this is all of the color and the luma all mixed together. So basically how this works is say I go to the red channel. If I go over here in the primary in, I find red. If I drag this cursor over, I want this over here to go to the 0. And if I drag this top one over, I want the tops to go up to 100. So take digital audio for example. If you're yelling into a microphone, it's going to be really staticky in the parts where you're yelling. When you review your footage, you'll see a loud staticky noise. And that means the sound is being clipped. Same with just like audio, video can get clipped. So if you're looking at footage when you're shooting on an overcast day and the sky is completely white, you'll see that if you were to darken the whites, it would just make the sky look gray. So basically the whites are being clipped because they're too bright, so you're losing the detail. So what this is going to do over here is these scopes are going to make sure that you're getting full detail. So once we've already done the red, so I'm going to move over to the greens. And I'm going to darken the black so it goes to the 0, and then brighten the whites so it goes up to 100. So now we're going to go to blue and do the same thing. That looks good. So now I'm going to go to the luma and then brighten the whites just a little bit. And then darken the blacks so that it goes down to the 0. Make sure you don't go too much, otherwise you'll be clipping it. If you look over here, you're losing a lot of detail. So you want to make sure you're not clipping it, just making it look better. So now we're just going to go one last check. I think in the reds, we could grab the middles and then just push it up a little more and darken the blacks. That'll just make it look better. So now this is looking pretty good. We could go to the overlay, which shows all of these overlaid. So it's kind of like the master viewer. It shows everything. And it's looking pretty good. You don't have to worry about all of this stuff. That's more advanced. But for now, we're just going to focus on RGB and luma. So now that we got that, I'm going to show you how to use this scope. So you're going to go over to the secondaries tab, and now you're going to go to the saturation curves. So what this viewer shows is the saturation. So we have red, magenta, blue, cyan, green, and yellow. This shows all of the saturation for the colors. So if you look over here, we notice there's a lot of saturation in the reds, yellows, and the cyan and blue. So what we're going to do is we're first going to make a few points on the saturation curves. So what we need to do is we need to desaturate the reds a little bit to bring that down, and then saturate the greens as much as you can. Basically, you don't want this to be focusing on one color more than another. You want it to be as close to a circle as possible. You also don't want to bring this too high or else you'll be clipping it. So say I scroll up on the saturation, the master saturation, if I bring it super high, it's going to go out of the spectrum and it's going to get clipped. So that's not good. If you look, it looks really bad. You'll see that in concerts a lot when you have like a blue light and then you see like you're not seeing any detail because it's just so saturated. So I'm going to bring this down to 1. That's pretty good. So now we're going to go to the magenta and bring it up as much as you can. And you see this isn't going to do a whole lot because there is not much magentas in your image. But it's still a good adjustment. And then we're also going to desaturate some of the yellows a little bit. And then we're also going to saturate some of the blues and cyans. And the reason why we're doing this, The reason why we're doing this is because we don't want the red and yellow to be overpowering all the other colors. So we want this side to be more even with this. I'm going to bring that down a little bit. It's a little too much. So that's actually looking pretty good. You can see, I could uncheck that. It's not too much of a difference, but it makes it look better. So that's how these two scopes work. So now that we have this, we're just going to do a few further adjustments. So I'm going to go back to the primary end and go to the luma curves. And I don't think I want to brighten the whites, because then it will make the sky look too cyan and it could look kind of fake. So I'm just going to do a quick adjustment with that. And then go to the luma so I can see. So that's good. And I'm not lowering this, darkening this, because that's just going to lower the quality. It's just going to basically make the sky look kind of gray. So I'm not going to do that. So now that we have all of this set up and our footage is looking good, we're ready to send it back to Final Cut Pro. So now just go to the render queue, press add all, and then start the render. And I apologize for this blue sort of glare right here. It was because I was filming through a window because I just saw a squirrel on a tree and I was kind of surprised, so I ran out with the camera because I didn't want to scare it off, so I apologize for that. And now I'm just going to skip through this. Okay, so now that it's done rendering, you'll see there's a green bar that appears above your footage. That means it's ready and now you can watch it. And it's kind of steppy because we're watching it from color, so I'm just going to stop that. So now we need to send it back to Final Cut Pro. So just choose File, Send to Final Cut Pro. So now it's going to launch Final Cut Pro, and now it's going to import the same sequence, but it's going to add from color. So I'm going to double click that to open it. And you can see here's our color corrected footage. If I go back to the original, you can see there's a major difference and it looks way better. So that's a small idea for how you could use scopes in Final Cut Pro and color. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and make sure to subscribe to Double Snap Productions. Thank you.